Any prepared statements that our witnesses may have will be included in the record. I'd like to welcome our first panel, Chairman Jim Jordan and Ranking Member Gerald Nadler from the Committee on the Judiciary, Chairman Mike Turner, and Ranking Member James Himes from the Committee on Intelligence. Chairman Jordan, I would welcome your opening testimony.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member. Good to be with you. A year ago, 11 months ago, the Washington Post reported that the FBI misused the 702 database and surveillance program, the surveillance tool, misused it 278,000 times. 278,000 times they didn't follow the law and the rules that were already in place. The base text, the way this is going to work, is there's some reforms in the base text well, the way it's going to work is how you guys determine the way it's going to work when you pass a rule, or if you pass the rule. But the base text has some reforms that I think make sense, but I think the fundamental question still is if the FBI that wouldn't follow the procedures in place and 278,000 times didn't follow those procedures, are new requirements, whether it's in the traditional FISA or in the 702 program, going to be enough to safeguard Americans' liberties? So for me, I'm just going to cut to what I think is the most important. We were here 2 months ago. Ranking Member Nadler and I had a robust discussion with this committee. Been a couple hours here talking about the various amendments in the base bill, but the thing that I think counts the most is the warrant requirement amendment. That was in the base text of the bill that came out of our committee. Came out of our committee, by the way, 35-2, strong bipartisan, as strong as we've probably ever had in that committee, certainly in this Congress. The warrant requirement, I think, is what's needed because when you have the history we have with this organization relative to not following the rules, we think you need a separate and equal branch of the government to look at, to approve a warrant before you can query American citizens' information. And that, to me, is the most important thing. We have exceptions built into our warrant requirement. If there's an imminent threat of data, that's an exception. If you agree to let the FBI, if you talk to them and say, yeah, you can use my phone number, our email address to search, you agree to that. Or if there's a known cyber threat, some malware you know about, that's an exception too. But if you're going to look in this, what I call the haystack of information that is collected, which has Americans' information in it, if you're going to use Jerry Nadler's phone number or his email address, then you should go to a separate and equal branch of government to get a warrant to do so. That is how our system works. We think that is the fundamental thing. And frankly, I appreciate what we've got in the bill and in the base text, and those reforms are, I think, positive. But without the warrant, I don't think we've done our job. I don't think we've protected Americans in the way that we should. So for me, that's the key element. I know Ranking Member Nadler will go through more of the legislation. I'm happy to answer questions. But that is what I think is the most important. Finally, well, let me say one other thing. I do think that the other amendments that I understand are being talked about, offered from the Intel Committee, and I appreciate the work that these guys do, but offered from the Intel Committee, those amendments actually expand FISA. And I thought what we were trying to do is reform it and protect Americans' liberty. So for me, the fundamental issue is the warrant requirement. That has to be in the legislation, or I don't think we've done our job. And with that, I would yield back to the chair.
Thank you for your